Soft, aunting piano fadising. Wind howling, distant police sirens. I was staring through one-way glass at two small children wrapped in silver blankets, shaking so hard I thought their bones would break. And the detective behind me said the words that shattered 28 years of silence. Your sister tried to kill them, Miss Baker, and she used your name to do it. Beat. Piano stops cold. That's how my life ended and began in the same second. 2 o'clock in the morning, Southside Chicago, January blizzard screaming outside like it wanted in. My name is Ren Baker. I'm an architect. I design safe places. Turns out the hardest structure I ever had to build was a spine for myself. Let me take you back 12 hours before that moment, so you understand how deep the rot went. Music shifts, tense strings. It was supposed to be the most important Friday of my career. I had one weekend to finish the presentation for the Chicago Safe Harbor Garden, a park that could finally put my name on something that mattered. 3 years of late nights, skipped vacations, every cent I had funneled into student loan payments instead of a life. My phone rang at 3:15 p.m. The caller ID said Sloan, my older sister, the golden child, the one who got the trust fund, the husband, the perfect Instagram life. Vain, Lahengot. Preston surprised me with Aspen. Plane leaves in 2 hours. I need you to watch the kids tonight. I was elbow deep in elevation drawings. Sloan, I told you last week now. I have a bid due Monday. I'm not even going to be home. Silence. Then the tone I grew up dreading. Half victim, half threat. Family's important. Run. More important than whatever little thing you're doing. My stomach nodded the way it always did. I could feel the old fog rolling in, the one that whispered, fix this. Protect Sloan. Take the blame. You're the responsible one. But for the first time, I pushed back. I'm not doing it. Do not bring them here. I hung up. My hands were shaking so hard I had to set the pencil down. Then I did something I'd never done. I put in writing. Email. 3:30 p.m. Subject. Tonight. I will not be home. Do not bring them. I will not open the door. Sent. Read receipt. 3:47 p.m. I thought that would be the end of it. I was so naive. Music darkens. Fast forward to 2 a.m. My phone explodes. Unknown number. Miss Baker? Sergeant Miller, Chicago PD. We have your niece and nephew. They're safe, but we need you to come in. I drove through the blizzard, gripping the wheel like it was the only real thing left in the world. I kept telling myself, they're safe. They're safe. But when I got to the precinct, Miller didn't take me to the kids. He took me to an interrogation room and dropped a plastic evidence bag on the table. Inside was a crumpled note in Sloan's perfect cursive. For Aunt Wren, 2400 North Clark Street. Miller leaned in. Coffee breath and judgment. Can you explain why a Lincoln Park architect sent 2 children to an abandoned industrial lot in a blizzard, dressed in summer clothes? I couldn't breathe. Child abandonment. Child trafficking. Felony. The words hit me like punches. I kept saying, that's my address, but north, not south, 1 letter. 1 letter. He didn't care. People fake emails all the time to cover their tracks. I begged to see the kids. He finally led me to the observation room. And there they were. Cooper, 9 years old, shaking so violently the blanket slipped off his shoulders. Piper, 6, clutching her stuffed bear, eyes empty, like her soul had left to keep her warm. I pressed my hand to the glass and shattered inside. Then Miller said quietly, the Uber driver was told their father was waiting. She dropped them at the curb and left. If a security guard named Mr. Henderson hadn't heard them screaming, he didn't finish. He didn't have to. I closed my eyes and tasted blood. I'd bitten my cheek raw. This wasn't an accident. Sloan read my email. She saw the read receipt, and she changed 1 letter on purpose. Punishment. For daring to say no. Music swells, low, angry. I turned to Miller, voice shaking but sure. I have proof. I told her no. I'm not covering for her anymore. That was the first brick in the new spine. I showed him the email. I called Declan, Sloan's husband, who was in Cleveland. When he heard, the man went feral on FaceTime. He accessed their Ring camera from the hotel. We watched Sloan, drunk, swaying, wine glass in hand, shove Cooper and Piper out the door in summer clothes while the blizzard raged. She never even looked at the Uber app, just closed the door and went back to her bottle. Miller's jaw went tight. You're cleared, Miss Baker. Your sister, however, is going to jail. Relief should have flooded me. Instead, it was just a tiny crack of light in a very dark room. For hours later, my parents swept into the precinct like royalty. Fresh off their private jet, they'd turned around in Aspen. Preston and Lenore Baker. Old money. Older cruelty. They walked right past the room where their grandchildren were thawing out and came for me. Preston pulled out a checkbook, yes, in the police station, and wrote $50,000. Tell them it was a miscommunication, Run. You gave the wrong address by mistake. Take the check. Be a good daughter. Lenore's nails dug into my arm. Think of the family reputation. I looked at the check. It would wipe out my student loans. And the terror of choosing between groceries and rent. All I had to do was lie. One more time. Like always. I tore it in half. I'm done. Preston's face turned purple. You'll regret this. I smiled for the first time in days. I know exactly what I just did. I slid my phone into my pocket, still recording before they noticed. Music turns triumphant, dangerous. What came next was war. Sloan posted the sob story on Facebook, golden hour lighting, fake tears. My own sister turned against me. I trusted her with my babies. The family group chats exploded. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, all suddenly experts on my evil. Then my father emailed my firm's senior partners, threatening to pull a multi-million-dollar contract if they kept me employed. I walked into the office sure I was about to be fired. Instead, Marcus, my boss, turned his laptop around and showed me the email. I've known Preston Baker for 15 years, he said. He's a mediocre man who inherited everything and still screws it up. You're not going anywhere. He gave me paid leave, the firm's attorneys, everything I needed. I cried in the elevator. But for the first time, they were happy tears. Declan filed for emergency custody. Sloan countered with lies, that I'd agreed to babysit, that Declan kidnapped the kids, that I was jealous and vindictive. The first hearing was brutal. Sloan took the stand in cream wool and pearls, crying perfectly. She said yes on the phone. I don't know how they ended up on the south side. Our attorney, Elena Russo, let her talk. Let every lie stack like kindling. The judge gave Sloan supervised visitation and warned me to communicate better with family. My parents smirked. Sloan posed for cameras. They thought they'd won. They had no idea we'd just baited the trap. 30 days later, round 2. Same courtroom. More press. Sloan in ivory again, clutching tissues like an Oscar contender. Elena recalled her to the stand. Remind us, Mrs. Montgomery, did your sister agree to watch the children? Absolutely. She said yes. Elena hit play. The email. 3:30 p.m. Do not bring them. Read at 3:47. Then the ring footage. Drunk Sloan shoving barefoot kids into a blizzard. Then the audio. My father offered me 50 grand a lie. The courtroom went dead silent. Then the judge's voice cut through like a blade. Bailiff, detain the witness. Sloan screamed as they cuffed her. Real tears this time. Perjury. Child endangerment. Reckless conduct. Parental rights terminated. Déclin grante de sole custody. Menamed permanent gardien. My parents sat frozen while cameras flashed in their faces. Justice tasted like cold, clean air after decades underwater. Music softens. Hopeful piano. 3 years later, I'm standing in Millennium Park at the ribbon cutting for the Safe Harbor Garden. My park, the one I almost lost. Cooper, now 12 and taller than me, designed the climbing tower with me. Piper's butterfly mosaics are inlaid in the pathways. We live in a 2-flat in Lincoln Park. Separate apartments, shared dinners, shared lives. Not blood. Choice. That night, Cooper hugged me on the balcony and whispered, "Thank you for not taking the money." I held him tight. Thank you for being brave enough to survive. Sometimes the past still tries to knock. Letters from my parents. Apologies wrapped in manipulation. News that Sloan lost her new baby to CPS after the old record surfaced. I feel nothing. Some things don't get forgiven. They get survived. Cooper's graduating middle school next week, valedictorian. Piper wants to be an artist or maybe a lawyer so I can help kids like Elena helped us. And me? I finally understand what safe harbor really means. It's not a place you're given. It's the boundary you defend, the truth you refuse to swallow, the family you choose when blood fails you. We built ours from the ashes of that blizzard night, and it holds. Love isn't endless sacrifice. Real love draws a line in the snow and says, not them, not anymore, never again. And on the other side of that line, that's where life finally begins.